All right, looks like the entrances have slowed down. So good morning, everyone. Welcome to the October 2020 OCHMIS user meeting. If you haven't already, please enter your agency's name in the chat box and we'll get started. So we have a pretty packed agenda for you today. We're going to go over the new housing notes system. We will provide an update on project performance reports, introduce a new HMIS data analyst that we have with us. Then Mercy House is going to do a presentation that they've developed for training staff on how to protect client personal identifying information. We'll briefly talk about Looker one-on-one support. We will go over a new task list that will be associated with the HMIS Part 2 training and user recertification. We'll provide an update on an error that is sometimes experienced uploading PDF files into Clarity. We will then go over a corrections file that will be going out soon that'll cover the LSA, report cards, and system performance measures. We will follow up on last month's monthly training webinar and introduce next month's. We will give an update on the 2020 HMIS agency audit process, go over some recently updated knowledge base articles, and talk about the upcoming holiday. Okay, so up first we have Erin with the housing notes.
Can I share my screen?
Yes. Maybe. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. All right, you should be seeing my slides now.
Yes, we got them.
Okay, so at least a year, maybe more, our COC has been in conversation about sharing case notes in HMIS, or at least housing notes, and the best way to do that. We did not want to share case notes in HMIS because in order to share case notes, we would have to share the history of all case notes that have been entered. And for some agencies, their case notes aren't really meant for sharing for other agencies because they are putting in internal agency communications, incident reports, that kind of stuff. So we wanted to honor the case notes that have already been in and keep those private for the agencies. But we also wanted to develop a way for users to enter housing notes for their clients that could be shared with the rest of the COC to help streamline the housing process for the client and increase coordination among the agencies. So this is to kind of go over what that new process is. And we do have a knowledge base article that covers everything that I'm about to go over and includes even additional information like some examples and just a little more detail. But we will include those in the meeting minutes. And we have also added this information to a lesson in the HMIS Part 2 training for all new users. So first, like I said, case notes should still be used in HMIS if your agency is using them. Case notes will only be visible by the agency that is entering the note, so it will not be shared with the rest of the COC. And information in case notes should be specific to what your agency needs and should not include information that would be shared with the COC. So case notes should include things like incident reports, mental health concerns, like appointment scheduling, that kind of thing. And when you're writing your case notes, remember that they should be factual, should not include opinions or feelings, and they should only contain relevant information to what you're trying to do to assist your client. When you're writing case notes, you should be avoiding stereotypes, jargon, and emotionally charged words. So words like dangerous, threatening, abnormal, immature. Try to avoid those types of words to ensure you're giving an unbiased note on the client's situation. And when you're doing anything in HMIS, including housing notes, case notes, anything, remember that your clients have a right to request a copy of their data that's in HMIS, including notes. So try to keep that in mind also. And just as a refresher, case notes should be entered under your agency's enrollment. So you'll see here, here's the client's program enrollment, and you go to the notes tab, and then you would put in your incident report or mental health concerns or whatever the case may be here. So housing notes. Like I said, housing notes will be visible by all agencies participating in HMIS and should contain information related to housing the client. And so we developed a working group with some of the members of the Data and Performance Management Committee to talk through case notes and housing notes. And the group recommended that all housing notes follow the PERP format, which is purpose, intervention, response, and plan. So when you're entering the case note, for purpose, what you're trying to do is answer the question, why is this session necessary? And then you'll move on to intervention, which is what did you do to assist the client, or what did you recommend to the client? The response is how the client responded to your intervention. You can also talk about reasons for lack of improvement, outcome measures, progress, and then the plan is what action items were determined to help move the client towards permanent housing. So having this format will not only guide your notes, but also make it easier for other agencies to review and kind of follow the work that's been done with the clients. So when you're doing housing notes, please follow this format. And then to enter housing notes, again, you will be under your program enrollment, but you will go to the provide services page and you will see a housing notes category, and then you'll be able to enter your note and save it. And then housing notes can be reviewed on the client's history page. So I wanted to show you that really quick. So to view housing notes, you'll search for your client, you'll go to their history screen. It might look like this with a bunch of rows. So if you want to just view their housing notes, you would click on the view dropdown, and in the search type in housing notes and click on search, and that'll limit the history page to only including those housing notes. So they could have more, they could have just one, they could have nothing, but you'll see the housing note. This is the date that the note occurred. The double box is the agency and the project that the housing note was entered under. And then the date next to that is their project start date. And if they had a project exit date, that would be in there too. And then the dialog box, that is the contents of the housing note. So you can see the PERP format there, and you can see the housing note that was entered for that client. So this is available in HMIS today. If you don't see the service yet, you should see it by the end of the day. And you can start entering your housing notes as soon as you're ready. This is not required for all of the agencies participating, but if you are entering housing notes into HMIS, please use this housing service. And if you are not using notes in HMIS, please consider at least doing these housing notes, because it'll help other agencies that are also trying to serve your clients. And at the end of the day, the goal is to help clients and make this as easy for them as possible. So any questions about the housing notes?
I don't see any.
Excellent news. Okay, so like I said, the knowledge base article is published now and will be included in the minutes if you would like to go back and review those. But I will go to my next item. Okay, project performance reports. So many of you know that we stopped doing the project performance reports at the start of the pandemic, or maybe not the start, but we stopped doing them because a lot of the agencies had users working from home and didn't have access to files. But like Adriana is going to cover, we have reporting deadlines coming up for HUD. Unfortunately, we can't put it off any longer. We have to keep moving forward on this because the pandemic could last another 6 months to a year. We don't know. And we can't stand still on this stuff because our requirements for reporting to HUD hasn't changed. So in November, we are going to start up again on the project performance reports with transitional housing. We are working on developing a Looker dashboard for each project type to review performance. And so that will be coming out in the next couple of weeks, and each agency will be able to pull these dashboards as needed so that you can stay up on top of your performance as often as you would like. And so we'll go out to an email for the transitional housing providers within the next week or so on next steps and give access to that dashboard. And then in November at the user meeting, we're hoping to have the dashboard ready for everybody so that we can do a demo and walk through it. Are there any questions on that?
Not so far.
Excellent news. So I think that's it. Like I said, we don't want to put more pressure on you guys, but we have to be in compliance with the HUD guidelines, and we have to make sure our data as a COC is the best that it can be. So that's why we're moving forward with these again. And like I said, look for an email, transitional housing providers, with more information and data so you can review. And then in November, we should have some more information for the group. And that's it for me.
Okay, so up next, we are super happy to announce that we have a new HMIS data analyst. Her name is Diana Taylor. Some of you may have seen her on the help desk already, so please make sure to give her a warm welcome and be patient as we train her up on answering help desk tickets. Okay. Next up, we have Mercy House's presentation on protecting client identifying information. I'm going to stop sharing. John Paul?
Thank you, everyone. I'm going to hold on just 1 second as I pull everything up here. All right, can everyone see my screen?
Yeah, looks great.
Awesome. Oh boy. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. So this is just Mercy House's in-house course for personal protected information. Of course, we want to make sure that we are holding ourselves accountable to the standards required by HUD and HMIS for handling personal protected information and ensuring that it's handled securely. So this is just our introduction screen for our staff. They take this course as part of their HMIS training for the agency. We have a number of users that are read-only users. We have a number of users that are trained data staff. So we want to make sure that they're all on the same page as to the scope, purpose, and commitment of our agency to protecting the personal protected information of our clients. And of course, PPI is a very broad category that covers a lot of topics and areas. For instance, disclosing that a client is chronically homeless, or disclosing as something as simple as their birthday, is technically PPI when it is attached to a party and reference. So we always want to make sure that our staff are trained on all the definitions of PPI and everything that goes into making sure that that information is handled with discretion and confidentiality. And of course, you can borrow from this list if you wish to create something for your own agency, or of course, borrow from us. Of course, we want to keep in mind that PPI is only used as necessary, and we make sure that our staff are only using it as necessary. And this is just a reference page for our staff to make sure that if they have questions, that they can reach out to a specific party that will be able to resolve that. You can choose that within the agency. For us, it is one of our HMIS administrators. And we want to make sure that, of course, staff are handling PPI and email communications, of course, avoiding it when possible. But if it's absolutely necessary, making sure that we're following conventional formats for disclosing PPI, and making sure that any documents attached to those emails that contain PPI are password protected. And this is also just another convention for when we have to securely transfer PPI across online systems. For instance, we use a system called WeTransfer. We want to make sure that those documents are being handled and treated with discretion just in their naming conventions. And of course, during the COVID-19 pandemic, we have had a lot of staff members who've had to work remotely. And we have a software at Mercy House that allows our staff to log into their in-office computers from their home computers. You may or may not have something like that, but these are just the protocols we have in place to make sure that our staff, when they are working remotely, are able to securely handle personal protected information. You're welcome to borrow from this if you like. And we want to make sure that PPI, of course, is being protected when it's being printed, and that afterward that all documents are being properly discarded, either in their assigned case file, physical case file contained between two locked doors, or they're being shredded after use. So we have case file security protocols, of course. These should be fairly universal among our agencies, but these are just a repeat of our trainings that involve case manager handling personal protected information when they're establishing client case files. We also want to make sure that when we're visiting clients, either in scattered site projects, or if they are meeting with clients one-on-one, that when we are not conducting case management on Mercy House property, that all policies are being followed. Of course, there will be times when clients either want to refuse or revoke their consent to have PPI shared, or they want to, or if the agency or entity may want to request access. We want to make sure that all information is being protected as necessary, and these steps lay out basically just our ethics and principles surrounding it. So of course, we know that our clients have a right to access their case files, and these steps just lay out the process for which a client will request PPI from their case manager, and the expectations surrounding it of course, staying within a 3 business day time parameter. So, of course, from time to time, an agency, law enforcement entity will request to access case file records. And these are all the purposes for which we might have access granted, of course, following the steps outlined by requesting that information formally. So these are some of the purposes: provide coordinated services for creating de-identified PPI. Law enforcement from time to time may request this information, and it's also incorporated from time to time into academic research. So if all of these entities request the information, they have to go through the proper channels, which leads us to the rights of access requests. So certain entities can request a access to case file agreement, and it needs to be signed and submitted through the proper channels, and needs to be submitted in accordance with all of our rules and regulations surrounding the handling of this information. And if this is just a final questions page that we set up in our training course to resolve outstanding issues and questions regarding the PPI training course and how to handle it. This will usually be someone designated within your agency who is an HMIS administrator and is trained on all facets of handling personal protected information and is familiar with HMIS in general. And this is our final training assessment. It links to another page where you'll be able to take a in-house course that we have designed, or in-house quiz that allows our staff to demonstrate their retention of knowledge as it regards to handling personal protected information. If you use an assessment, please, please, please do not use ours. I cannot stress that enough, but you are welcome to borrow our questions, borrow our answers, and create your own assessment tool. Just please do not use ours directly, as we use this for our staff specifically. All right, thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions about our PPI course, or how they might want to implement something like this for themselves at another agency? If you have questions like that, please feel free to ask. Casey, you're welcome to take things from here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John Paul. I'm not seeing any questions. Oh, wait. Will the PowerPoint be emailed out? Is that okay with you, John Paul, if we include this in our materials?
That's cool with me.
Great. So yes, we will be sharing the PowerPoint. Okay. So moving on in our agenda, we wanted to just remind everyone that the HMIS Help Desk is available to help you with Looker questions. So we want to encourage you to submit tickets to the HMIS Help Desk if you're working with Looker and feeling stuck on a report you're trying to create, or maybe building a dashboard. And we are more than happy to set up a time to meet with you over Zoom so you can get some one-on-one help with Looker. We do have the Looker beginner training that we highly recommend everyone who wants to get started with Looker to take. That way, if you want to have a one-on-one session, we can really dive into the project that you want to work on. All right. So over the years, we've heard from agency administrators that a more interactive way to test new HMIS users' knowledge of HMIS would be helpful, in addition to the HMIS training process of the Part 1 and Part 2 trainings. So in response, we've created a task list that guides users through creating client profiles, enrollments, assessments, and other HMIS functionality on the training site. So starting today, the task list will be required of all new users completing HMIS Part 2 training, but it will not be scored like a quiz. The purpose of the task list is just to provide HMIS users an opportunity to use HMIS and receive feedback from us on areas that they may need to reinforce. The same task list will also be used for our inaugural annual HMIS user recertification process. So starting this year, we will have an annual process to recertify active HMIS users, in which users will complete the task list to avoid having their HMIS account locked. This year's due date is going to be November 20th, and today we'll be sending out an email with more details. So just as for completing HMIS Part 2 for new users, the recertification process does not require users to complete the task list with any certain grade or percentage of accuracy. All right, so let's go over the process for both of these. So starting today, any new HMIS users will have to complete the task list as part of their Part 2 training. We have created a digital form that agency administrators will submit kind of in place of the current system where agency administrators submit tickets to the HMIS help desk letting us know that users have completed training. Now there will be a digital form for that, kind of like the project setup form. When we receive the form, we'll confirm the trainings are complete, and we will create the HMIS user's account and login information and give it to the agency administrators as soon as we confirm that trainings have been complete. Then, as this process starts, there might be a little delay depending on the volume. So we'll be sending the account information same day, same timeline as now, but possibly later we'll be sending a PDF copy of the digital form back to the agency administrator, which will include feedback on the HMIS user performance. And that's it for part 2. All right, now let's go over the recertification. So the process will begin today. Like I said, we'll be sending a separate email out today with instructions on the user recertification process. Agency administrators will receive 2 emails from us. One will include the task list, the due date, and a link to the completion form that needs to be submitted to us to notify us that the recertification has been completed. And separately, you'll receive a list of users who are required to complete recertification during this period. Once your users have completed their task lists, agency administrators will submit the task list completion form to us to indicate that users have completed their recertification. Then, again, possibly with a slight delay depending on the volume, we will send back a copy of the form which will include feedback on the HMIS user's performance. And then our due date is November 20th. So after November 20th, we will be locking the HMIS accounts of any users who were on the list that you'll receive today who have not completed the task list by that date. When users complete the task list after having their account locked, agency administrators will submit the same completion form to indicate that those users have finished. We will unlock their accounts and then send the same feedback. And that's it for this year. Let's see. Do we have any questions? Will it be possible to have staff retake the HMIS Part 2 training online so they can get the chance to perform the task list? Armando, that's a great question. We're actually going to be publishing the task list in the knowledge base. So if your user is not up for recertification this year, you can always have them complete the task list. Just send them a link to the knowledge base article, which we'll include in the email that we send to you, and you could have them complete it that way. Great, you're welcome. Okay. I'm not seeing any other questions yet. If you think of more, feel free to leave them in the chat box or you can submit a ticket. All right, so we're going to go over to Adriana.
Can you hear
Adriana?
me?
Yes, gotcha.
Great. Good morning, everybody. So I would like to talk about an error that some users were having when uploading files in HMIS. So pretty much the issue was that when they were trying to upload a file, they were getting an error message and they were not able to upload it. So just in case you encounter this in the future, you can fix this by changing the format of the file that you're trying to upload. And in order to do this, you need to first open the file that you want to upload and click Control P. You can also right click and select print. Control P is just like the shortcut. And then you need to select Save as PDF and click Save. So those very simple steps are required, and this is changing the format of the PDF. And after that, you should be able to upload the file without any issues. As I was saying, some of our users were having that, but in case you have it in the future, just follow these instructions. We also have a knowledge base article with these same instructions for your review. Are there any questions about this?
Not yet.
Okay, can you hear me again? Sorry, I think I mute myself on a mistake.
Yes.
Okay, can you please change slide? Great, thank you. So data quality corrections. We're going to send data quality corrections spreadsheets to all the agencies with data of the last 2 fiscal years, 2019 and 2020. And as Aaron was saying, this is in preparation for our LSA submission and the system performance measure submissions as well. We have to submit that to HUD pretty soon, and we need to prepare now. You guys are already familiar with the correction spreadsheet. The difference in this case is that this will include some performance corrections, and of course it will be bigger, it will be a longer spreadsheet because it has 2 years of data. But the format is exactly the same as the one that you're already familiar with. And I know you guys have been working on data quality with your own processes that you have established and all the tools that we have made available for you. And we spoke about this in our last training webinar. So for this reason, I think it's going to be a smooth process. It's not going to be as intimidating as we might think at the beginning. Also, given the length of the corrections, you will have about a month to complete them. And we will send an email with detailed instructions and all the more information for that review. After you complete these corrections, we're also planning to publish report cards for the 3 quarters of this year. So pretty much, again, as Aaron was saying, we're playing catch up on data quality and do all the things that we were not able to do because of the pandemic. So the good thing is that you're going to be able to do all the corrections at once. Any questions about this?
Looks like no.
Okay, can you please change? Perfect. And thank you for those of you who attended the agency admin and data quality training webinar. I really enjoy talking about these topics with you. And I think now more than ever, that training webinar is going to be very helpful for you to make the corrections that we're going to send. We have published the training materials on our website. And as usual, you can find these in the monthly training webinar menu under HMIS Hub. We also have a knowledge-based article with pretty much the same information as the training for those of you who prefer to read articles as opposed to watching the recording. The next training webinar will be on October 29th, which is a Thursday, and it will be about HMIS Part 2 training. And as a reminder, you need to register for these trainings, and yeah, we'd look forward to seeing you there. We also send a reminder 1 week before for you to send to all your users in case they want to attend. And I think that's it for me.
Okay, thank you, Adriana.
Perfect, thank you.
Linda?
Yes. Okay, so the second round of agency audits have been sent out. We will be sending out the third round of emails in the next coming week or so with instructions on submitting the 2 agency agreements, completing the 2020 HMIS agency audit form, how to check and self-certify your computer security system. So please be on the lookout for that. As a response is required to schedule your agency audit. We look forward to hearing from you.
Don't see any questions, so I'm going to move on.
Okay.
Oh, wait, sorry. We
Great.
did get one question. Will the agency audits be done remotely?
Yes, due to COVID, this year agency audits will be done via Zoom meeting. Okay, so we created a couple of new knowledge base articles for you guys. Hopefully that will be helpful to you. The first set of KB articles is a work overview for the different types of federal funding, such path, it includes all the details such as project setup, data collection requirements, reporting requirements, and any other information pertaining to that specific federal funding. And then we also have a KB article on recording case notes and housing notes in the HMIS that Erin mentioned earlier on in the webinar. And it goes over the different details between case notes and housing notes and how to enter that information into HMIS. We also have a HSTAP data entry guide, which goes over specific data collection requirements that must be completed in HMIS for agencies that receive HSTAP funding. These links to these KB articles will be provided in the webinar minutes for you to access if needed.
Okay, no questions, it looks like.
And then just a reminder that the Columbus Day holiday is coming up. So the help desk will be closed on Monday, October 12th for the holiday weekend. We will be back in the office to assist you the following Tuesday. Have a great holiday weekend and please be safe.
All right, thank you, Linda.
Of course.
So now we've covered all the material we had prepared for everybody today. So we want to just take a few minutes to give the opportunity to ask some questions, maybe see something demonstrated in HMIS, anything you're curious about. Okay, it looks like we're not getting any questions today. If you think of anything, of course, always submit a ticket to the HMIS help desk. Be on the lookout for an email today regarding the HMIS Part 2 and recertification information, as well as a separate email containing the materials from today's meeting. Oh, got a question. Is there a process for redacting case notes when clients request access? So Melanie, clients have the right to view their entire HMIS history. So there is currently no process for redacting case notes should a client request their record. All right, I think that's it for us today. If you have any more questions, please submit a ticket to the HMIS help desk. And everybody have a great weekend, a great month, and we'll see you on November. Give me just a sec. We'll see you at our next meeting on November 4th. All right, thanks everybody.